Hello, my dear adventurer. Welcome back to Serene Slumber Tales. Tonight, you'll be stepping into the role of a traveller, beginning their very first quest. Imagine yourself with fresh boots, a heavy pack, and the open road stretched out before you. This isn't a tale of dragons or great wars. No, this is a gentler story, one of cozy villages, warm hearths, and the quiet adventures that help a young adventurer find their place in the world. You may picture yourself as a knight, recently passed through trials and finally free to prove your skill. Or perhaps you are a budding wizard, eager to step out from your master's dusty tower and into the wide world. You might even be a mischievous rogue, restless for more than coin purses in a familiar town. Whatever you choose, tonight you are about to arrive at a place called Fairhaven Crossing, where every story, big or small, begins. So adjust your cloak, settle your pack, and let the story guide you gently. Your only task is to listen, to drift, and to rest. The dusty road curves beneath the heavy boughs of an ancient oak, and as you step around its gnarled trunk, the village at last reveals itself. Fairhaven Crossing. The name alone has been little more than ink and parchment to you until now. A distant place that lived only in your grandmother's letters and in the hushed recollections of travellers who had passed through your town. But now, standing here with the scent of loam and wood smoke rising into the cool air, you see it with your own eyes. At first glance, Fairhaven Crossing looks peaceful, almost painfully ordinary, as though it has been frozen in a moment of quiet contentment. Small houses of honey-coloured stone lean shoulder to shoulder, like old friends, their moss-patched rooftops tilting under the weight of years. Time has softened their edges until they seem to belong to the land itself, as natural as the hedgerows and fields beyond. Thin threads of smoke unravel lazily from crooked chimneys, curling into the evening sky, where the first stars are just beginning to blink awake. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks once, then falls silent, as though even he is unwilling to disturb the calm. The longer you let your eyes wander, the more you notice how alive the place feels beneath its quiet surface. In front of cottages, gardens swell with late-season vegetables. Fat pumpkins crouch in tangled vines. Beans dangle like green ornaments from trellises, and stubborn sunflowers still crane their golden faces toward the sinking light. Children splash through muddy lanes, their laughter carrying like bells as they chase one another, heedless of the muck on their boots and hems. In open doorways, women shake out rugs or hang damp laundry, bright as festival banners, to flutter in the breeze. The faint bleating of goats drifts from somewhere down the slope, mingling with the clatter of hooves as a cart rattles toward the square. Every sight, every sound, every smell confirms what the letters promised. This is no silent village tucked away to wither with age, but a place very much awake, very much alive. The air itself is thick with fragrance, as though the town insists on greeting you, not just with sights and sounds, but with taste as well. The yeasty sweetness of baking bread drifts from an unseen oven, twisting together with the sharp bite of wood smoke and the faint tang of cider pressed fresh from autumn's apples. You draw it in unconsciously, the way one inhales before a feast, and for a moment the weary ache of your limbs is eased by the simple promise of warmth and comfort. At the edge of the path, just before the cobbles begin, stands a weathered wooden sign. Its boards are rough-hewn and sun-faded, but the carved letters remain bold, a craftsman's pride etched into every line. Your grandmother's letter weighs lightly in your pocket, though its meaning presses heavier with each step. You can almost hear her voice, as you read the lines again in your mind. It's time you learned what it means to be useful, dear one. Fairhaven has more troubles than hands to solve them. Everyone starts somewhere. She had written it in that stern but affectionate way she always had. Words that were more command than request, yet softened by the love she never thought necessary to state outright. To her, Fairhaven was not merely a village, but a forge, a place where idle hearts might be hammered into purpose. And so, heart steadying itself against the unknown, you step forward into the village proper. The road beneath your boots changes from dirt to cobble, the stones worn smooth by centuries of boots, hooves, and cartwheels. The sound of your steps rings softly against them, blending with the low murmur of voices and the distant creak of wagon axles. Ahead, the square begins to open like a clearing in a forest, and with it, a sense that this is the place where the lifeblood of Fairhaven gathers and flows. Shops line the street in a patchwork of colour and character. Outside the Fletchers, neat bundles of arrows rest like patient soldiers, their feathered ends catching the last light of day. In the seamstress's window, bolts of cloth in vivid hues are draped for admiration, cobalt blue, autumn gold, and a deep crimson that seems almost to burn in the lamplight. The faint clink of metal drifts from the blacksmith's forge at the square's edge, each strike of hammer on anvil like the heartbeat of the town. Everywhere you look, there is a sense of steady industry, of lives lived not in idleness, but in rhythm with need and season. At the very center of the square stands a large notice board beneath a peaked wooden pavilion. Its timbers are dark with age, but the structure itself remains sturdy, clearly cared for. The board is crowded with parchment notices, some curling at the corners, others crisp and new. Handwriting varies from the meticulous script of officials to the sprawling scrawl of ordinary folk. You catch glimpses as you pass. A call for farmhands, a missing goat, a festival announced for the harvest's end. A small knot of villagers lingers here, reading, pointing, and discussing, their voices low but animated. It is clear that this is not just a board, but a pulse, where the lifelines of work, news, and gossip all converge. To one side of the square, the tavern leans against time itself, as though the years have tried to push it over, but failed. Its beams are thick and weather-darkened, its roof patched in places, but the windows glow with the warm gold of lamplight and fire. Through the door drifts the unmistakable din of clattering mugs, laughter, and the rise and fall of a fiddle's tune. The scent of roasting meat wafts outward, teasing your already growling stomach. It looks like the sort of place where tales are spun larger than life, where strangers become friends after a single round, and where the weary find not judgment, but a seat by the fire. Your pack digs stubbornly into your shoulders, a constant reminder of the miles behind you. Your boots squeak with each step, damp from the last stream you forded, and your stomach growls again, louder this time, insistent as a drumbeat. Every part of you, from your aching feet to your dust-caked throat, echoes the same simple truth. It is time for rest. Yet beneath the hunger and fatigue, there is another sensation taking root, faint but undeniable. It is the feeling of arrival, of crossing a threshold into something not yet known, but waiting, patiently, to unfold. And as the shadows lengthen over Fairhaven Crossing, as lanterns spark to life one by one across the square, you realize that this small, mostly peaceful village is no ordinary stop along a road. It is the beginning of something larger, something that will ask of you more than you expect. The only question that lingers is whether you are ready to answer. The tavern's painted sign swings lazily in the evening breeze, its chains creaking faintly with the motion. A rose vine twines itself in bright red curls around the image of a stout barrel, its paint a little faded but still cheerful. The sign sways like a familiar hand waving you inside, promising warmth, drink, and company. The building itself leans ever so slightly to one side, as though long ago it decided to settle comfortably into the earth and never again bother with the business of standing straight. Time has pressed upon its beams, rain has darkened its shingles, but still it endures, and the crookedness has only made it look more welcoming, like a smile with a missing tooth that somehow makes the smile warmer, not weaker. You press your hand against the oak door, its iron latch cool beneath your palm. The door groans a little as it swings open, protesting in the way of old wood, but then the sound is swept away by what lies within. Instantly you are met by warmth, not only the physical kind that comes from hearth and fire, but the sort that settles into your bones like a familiar quilt. Firelight flickers across the timber beams, chasing shadows into the corners, while the great hearth at the far wall glows with a heart of embers that must have been burning since morning. The air is thick with the rich sense of tavern life. Stew simmers somewhere unseen, its fragrance layered with carrots, onions, and herbs you cannot name. Bread bakes in the kitchen, its crusty scent drifting outward with every swing of a door. And then there is the ale, a malty sweetness, the faintest hint of hops, all carried on the laughter and chatter that fills the room like music. The place hums, not with noise that overwhelms, but with the comforting buzz of people at ease. At one table, a group of elders lean intently over a game of carved wooden pieces. They move them with deliberate slowness, each gesture punctuated by a mutter or chuckle, their beards nodding as if in silent agreement with the rules of a game you do not know. Near the hearth, a pair of weary travellers sit with steaming mugs between their hands, their cloaks hung by the fire to dry. One tells a story in low tones, gesturing with his cup, while the other laughs so hard his shoulders shake. A fiddler in the corner plucks at his strings, not playing for coin but for pleasure, the melody meandering through the room like a lazy brook. Everywhere, faces turn toward one another, bright with smiles, softened with trust. This is no place of suspicion or sharp silence. It is a place of belonging, of lives woven together so tightly that even strangers are quickly threaded into the pattern. Behind the polished oak counter stands Gareth, the innkeeper. He is broad of shoulder, with arms that look as though they have lifted more barrels than any man ought to. But his eyes are kind, laugh lines fanning outward from years of good humour. His beard is peppered with grey, his apron flour-dusted, and when he sees you step uncertainly through the door, his face breaks into a smile so warm, you feel as though you've been recognised even before you've spoken. He greets you not as a stranger, but as though you're a traveller long overdue, and he gestures to an empty stool by the counter. The stool's wood has been polished smooth by countless weary souls who came before you, seeking exactly what you seek now, rest. As you sit, the words slip unbidden from your lips, your grandmother's name. It feels natural, as though the tavern itself invited you to speak it aloud. At once, Gareth's eyes light with recognition, brighter than the fire itself. He laughs, shaking his head in delighted surprise. "So you're the one she sent," he says, not unkindly, as though your arrival is less of a revelation and more of a confirmation of something long expected. From the warmth in his tone, you gather that half the village has indeed been waiting for you. your name whispered in kitchens and workshops, your grandmother's letters laying the path that your boots have now followed. Before you can ask questions, Gareth is already moving. A bowl of shepherd's pie is placed before you, the steam rising in fragrant curls. Rich gravy glistens in the firelight. Chunks of tender meat and root vegetables nestled beneath a golden crust of mashed potatoes. Beside it, a wedge of bread, still warm from the oven, rests on the plate, its crust crackling faintly as you break it open. The smell alone makes your mouth water, and when you take your first bite, it is everything you didn't know you needed. Comfort and sustenance wrapped together. Each mouthful melts the edges of your weariness. The ache in your shoulders softens, the heaviness of the road lightens, and even your thoughts, tangled from travel, begin to ease. Around you, the fire glows steady and sure, its heat reaching across the room to rest against your skin. The quiet murmur of voices weaves together with the occasional burst of laughter, forming a blanket of sound so gentle it might as well be a lullaby. You pause between bites, watching the life of the tavern unfold around you. The fiddler begins a livelier tune now, and a child, perhaps a daughter of one of the serving women, twirls awkwardly in the corner, her little boots scuffing the floor. The elders slap the table at some clever move in their game, their laughter deep and hearty. A tray of mugs passes from hand to hand, sloshing only slightly, until it finds its place among a group of farmers still in their muddy boots, their voices rumbling with good-natured debate. Every detail seems to conspire toward one message. You are not merely in a building, you are in the heart of a living, breathing hearth. And though beyond these walls the world may churn with its endless troubles, within them you are safe. Safe to eat, to rest, to listen. Safe to let the fire work its way into your bones and the food mend what the road wore down. Safe to remember that life, for all its burdens, is still capable of offering nights like this. Simple, ordinary, and utterly necessary. It occurs to you, as you lean back on the stool and let the last bite linger on your tongue, that this welcome is more than courtesy. It is invitation. Fairhaven Crossing does not greet you as a guest, but as someone meant to belong. And whether you realize it or not, tonight marks the first step into that belonging. The last of your bread vanishes, dipped in the dark gravy of the shepherd's pie, when suddenly the tavern's door bangs open against the wall. The cheerful fiddle tune cuts short as the musician's bow stutters over the strings, and every head turns toward the sound. A farmer stands framed in the doorway, his silhouette backlit by the pale twilight beyond. His boots are caked with mud, his cloak damp at the hem, and his hat clutched tightly in calloused hands. He does not pause to dust himself off, nor to offer the usual nod of greeting. His chest heaves with the urgency of someone who has walked fast and far, and when he speaks, his voice is louder than it ought to be, sharp enough to slice through the soft chatter of the room. "Bandits," he declares breathless, "on the southern road. Again. Took 3 carts of grain this time. Drove off a family near Bracken Hollow." The words ripple outward like a stone dropped into still water. Conversations falter. Tankards hover midway between table and lip. Even the fire seems, for a heartbeat, to hush its crackle. The air thickens, not with surprise but with a quiet resignation, as though the villagers have long suspected this was coming. The fiddler lowers his instrument. The elders lean back from their game, frowns carving deep lines across their brows. A young serving girl bites her lip, glancing toward the door as if bandits might spill through it next. All around you, voices stir into a low, uneasy murmur, concern tangled with weariness. This is not the first time trouble has brushed against Fairhaven Crossing, nor, you gather, will it be the last. You feel the change settle over the tavern, a shift from cozy warmth to something heavier. Yet even in the midst of it, you notice something else in yourself. A spark, small but insistent. The farmer's tale carries the ring of danger, yes, but also of opportunity. Your grandmother's words echo again. Fairhaven has more troubles than hands to solve them. Everyone starts somewhere. Could this be the sort of trouble she meant? The kind of task that calls not just for sympathy but for action? Your pulse quickens at the thought. Bandits on the road. What stories are born from such beginnings? This could be the first step on a path of adventure. The sort of thing that someday might be told in these very walls by another traveller. Your mind leaps ahead, imagining yourself standing tall on that southern road, grain carts reclaimed, families safe, bandits scattered by your courage. For a moment, it feels possible, but not everyone shares your restless stirrings. Behind the counter, Gareth the innkeeper wipes his hands on his apron, his expression steady, calm in the way of a man who has seen this before. He lets the whispers swell and then fade a little before raising his voice, not loudly, but with enough gravity to draw ears back toward him. "Sit, Tom," Gareth tells the farmer, nodding toward an empty bench by the hearth. "Warm yourself. Tell us what you know. The road won't mend itself tonight, nor will fretting mend it faster." The farmer obeys, lowering himself onto the bench as a mug is thrust into his hand. He drinks deeply, then begins to recount the story in more detail. Masked men stepping from the trees, shouting threats, seizing sacks of grain as frightened oxen load and farmers scattered. He speaks of faces hidden, weapons crude but effective, and the fear that they will not stop at crops for long. Each sentence knots the brows of those listening, yet no one gasps, no one cries out. This is not news of a calamity, only the confirmation of a shadow they already sense moving closer. You listen, leaning forward on your stool, curiosity and resolve flickering like twin flames. But before your imagination can carry you further down the road of heroics, a weighty hand rests on the counter near your own. It is Gareth's. His gaze meets yours, steady as the fire in the hearth. He has noticed your look, that restless gleam in your eyes, the way your fingers tighten around your mug. His voice is softer now, low enough that it does not compete with the farmer's tale, but firm enough that you cannot mistake it for casual advice. "Start small, adventurer," Gareth murmurs. "Rest, eat, learn the people here. The road will still be there tomorrow, and so will its troubles. But tonight..." He gestures subtly to the room around you. The crackle of the fire, the murmur of neighbors sharing their fears together, the simple comfort of stew and bread. Tonight, let the village welcome you first. The words settle on you with the gentle weight of wisdom. A part of you resists, itching to leap up, to prove yourself, to answer danger with action. But another part, older and quieter, recognizes the truth in his counsel. Stories may begin with bold deeds, but they are sustained by roots, by knowing where you are and who stands beside you. So you take a slow breath. You let the tension ebb from your shoulders. Your hand returns to your spoon, lifting another bite of shepherd's pie. It tastes different now, still savory, still comforting, but layered with the knowledge that beyond these walls, shadows lengthen. The bread is warm against your fingers, the fire steady against your back, and for the moment, that is enough. Around you, The tavern begins to breathe again. The farmer's tale draws toward its end, the murmurs shifting from fear to resolve. Someone suggests speaking to the reeve in the morning. Another mutters that the militia should be roused. A third insists that nothing will change until outsiders, mercenaries perhaps, are hired. The talk swirls like smoke, uncertain but alive. And slowly, conversation begins to stitch itself back into the tavern's fabric. The fiddler plucks a tentative note, then another. The elders resume their game, though their movements are more somber. The serving girl fetches another round, her brow still furrowed, but her hand steady. Life resumes, though not unchanged. You lean back, allowing the chair to cradle your tired body. The warmth of the food spreads through you like a tide, softening the aches of travel. The fire's glow blurs at the edges of your vision, blending with the voices that rise and fall in a soothing hum. The world outside may be troubled, roads stalked by bandits, fields stripped bare, families unsettled. But here, within these crooked wooden walls, you are safe. Safe enough to close your eyes for just a moment. Safe enough to let the crackle of the hearth and the rhythm of quiet conversation lull you deeper into calm. Tomorrow may bring talk of roads and raiders, of duty and danger. But tonight is for rest. Tonight is for belonging. Tonight, Fairhaven Crossing claims you as one of its own. And whatever quests await, they can wait until morning. When your plate is empty and your stomach no longer growls its protest, when the warmth of the hearth has seeped into your bones and your eyelids begin to grow heavy, Gareth appears once more at your side. His voice is kind, low enough not to disturb the murmur of the tavern. "Come," he says with a smile. "No sense in falling asleep at the counter. Let's get you settled." You rise slowly, your legs stiff from the long day's march. The chatter of the tavern continues behind you, a comforting backdrop of voices and laughter that seems to follow as Gareth leads you up a narrow staircase. The steps creak beneath your weight, each groan of the wood a reminder of how many feet have climbed this way before you. Farmhands after a day in the fields, peddlers carrying their packs, travellers with stories hidden in their cloaks. Now your own tread joins theirs, another sound folded into the inn's long memory. At the top of the stairs, Gareth pauses before a door of plain oak, the iron latch worn smooth by years of use. He opens it with the same care he might show a guest to his own home. The hinges complain softly, a low and familiar creak that seems less an annoyance than a greeting, as though the room itself has woken to welcome you. Inside, the chamber is modest but inviting. The bed dominates the space, its frame sturdy, its mattress piled high with wool blankets. Atop them rests a quilt, its squares stitched from scraps of many colours, faded blues, warm reds, soft yellows, woven into a pattern that speaks of care and time. As you step closer, you notice the faintest scent of lavender rising from the fabric, as though it has been stored with herbs to ward off moths, or perhaps simply to soothe those who lie beneath it. A small table sits near the bed, holding a single candle that flickers against the whitewashed walls. Its flame bends and sways with the draft from the window, painting shadows that stretch and curl like gentle phantoms. A wash basin and pitcher rest in the corner, the water within glimmering faintly in the light. There is little else, no gilded mirror, no carved chair, no heavy chest. But in the plainness lies a kind of honesty, a simplicity that feels truer than any ornament. You set down your pack with a soft thud, unbuckle your belt, and pull off your boots. The leather sighs as you set them aside, and you realize how tightly they had gripped your feet. Your shoulders feel suddenly lighter, the long road finally loosening its grip on you. With a slow breath, you lower yourself onto the bed. The straw-stuffed mattress sighs under your weight, yielding just enough to cradle you. It is not luxurious, but after days of rough ground and cold nights, it feels like heaven itself. The quilt enfolds you with gentle heaviness, its lavender scent rising each time you shift. You stretch your limbs, and only then do you notice how tired you truly are. The ache in your calves, the stiffness in your back, the dull throb in your hands from carrying your staff. All of it comes rushing forward now, demanding recognition. And in that demand lies release. Outside the window, a breeze stirs the wind chimes hanging just beyond the sill. Their silver voices ring softly, a fragile music that drifts into the room. From below, faint but distinct, comes the sound of laughter. Villagers lingering in the tavern, voices blurred by distance into a soothing hum. It is a lullaby not written but lived, a song woven from the fabric of a village at peace with itself, even while shadows linger at its borders. You close your eyes, and the world of Fairhaven Crossing folds around you like a second blanket. The warmth of the tavern clings still to your skin, the glow of the hearth, now a memory that lingers behind your eyelids. The farmer's tale of bandits presses faintly at the edges of thought, not sharp enough to disturb your rest, but present enough to whisper of roads and dangers yet unseen. And always, like a steady thread through it all, your grandmother's letter hums in your mind. It's time you learned what it means to be useful, dear one. The words no longer weigh on you as they did this morning. Now they feel less like a burden and more like a promise. Sleep takes you gently, not in a single wave, but in soft ripples. First, your limbs grow heavy, sinking deeper into the mattress. Then your breath slows, each exhale loosening another knot of worry. Finally, your thoughts drift, untethering themselves from the day. Images rise and blur. The moss-patched rooftops of Fairhaven, the golden glow of the tavern windows, the carved letters on the weathered village sign. They swirl together, merging into something dreamlike. Neither memory nor fantasy, but a space between. And there, in that liminal space, your mind begins to wander. You see yourself walking the southern road, the farmer's tale unfolding like a storybook picture. The bandits appear, faces masked, voices cruel. Yet in the dream, you are not afraid. Instead, you feel steady, as though the road itself has chosen you to defend it. The villagers cheer as you return their grain, their faces lit with gratitude. Somewhere in the background, your grandmother stands watching, not smiling exactly, but nodding in that familiar way that means approval. The dream shifts. You are no longer on the road, but back in the square. The notice board before you. Its parchment scraps flutter like wings, their words unreadable yet insistent. One peels away from the board and drifts into your hand. The ink glows faintly, though you cannot read the letters. You wake almost. Your eyes flutter beneath your lids. Your fingers twitch against the quilt. But sleep is stronger, and it pulls you down again. The wind chimes sing once more, their notes threading into your dream. The laughter from below fades, replaced by the steady rhythm of your breath. The quilt holds you fast, the lavender scent carrying you deeper into calm. And though tomorrow waits with its choices, roads and bandits, villagers and tasks, paths both known and unknown, tonight belongs only to rest. Fairhaven Crossing has taken you into its fold, and for the first time in many days, you are not merely passing through. You are home, if only for the night. Sleep settles over you, and in its embrace, the world outside drifts away. For now, there is only rest. And so, dear adventurer, your journey begins not with a battle or a treasure, but with the simple comforts of food, warmth, and belonging. Every great tale starts quietly, after all. Tonight, you've stepped into Fairhaven Crossing, a village where stories wait patiently, ready to unfold at your pace. May this gentle tale ease your mind, soothe your thoughts, and guide you into the softest of dreams. Tomorrow, the quest will still be there, but tonight, let sleep take you on its own cozy adventure. Good night, traveler, and may your dreams be kind.